So thank you so much and welcome back. So I have a good news for you. This is not a conference. This is laboratory work. So we are going to make a lot of practical laboratory work right now. So today we work with a canvas. So canvas is right on your table. Canvas actually helps companies very quickly to make these tests Patrick explained you, but also enables you to understand which are innovation engines which help to grow your company. So we are going to make 3 workshops. Before lunch, we do a small workshop. It's called customer development. This is the first part of the canvas to really test everything what Patrick told us. Workshop number 2 after lunch. We will find best innovation engines for your teams, for your companies. Before we do that, we show you 40 different case studies from different companies, how they use different innovation engines to grow the company. So it's going to be super fast session, and I have to warn you, be careful, some turbulence may occur. And finally, we have a workshop number 3, where it's very short workshop. We just briefly try to understand what we need to do in our company in order to make us more innovative. And at the end of the day, there will be really great keynotes. And the last keynote is from the first employee of Spotify, who created this multi-billion-dollar company, and we will see what kind of examples he's gonna show us. And we definitely hope to bring some work, what you're doing here on stage as well, at the end of the day, to present what actually happened. So yesterday, it was a very interesting story, never happened to me before in Latvia. Yesterday we were in Riga. So in Riga, at the end of the day, just before the last session, one team took the paper, took the canvas, and all post-it notes, and left. And they said, why are you leaving? We are not finished yet. No, everything is clear. We are going to start the business tonight. So I was really amazed that they were so confident. So let's continue. Before we go into the first exercise, very brief innovation kind of contextual explanation. We talk here innovation as a product or service commercialization. So we don't talk about high technology development or something like this. Innovation is commercialization of your product and services. And why we are doing innovation, it's obvious. It's not just innovation is very cool and sexy thing to do, but actually we do it in order to be different compared to our competitors and get better profitability. So this has to be very clear. We make innovation in order to be different from our competitors. And this is an underlying logic also in the canvas as we work throughout today. So roughly speaking, innovation has following components. Obviously, you need a product or service, but you need also to understand the market and particular customer and make a lot of tests with customer, as Patrick suggested already. So these are 2 important components of innovation, but the third component is a process itself. You need a product development or customer development process, and of course, you need this kind of entrepreneurial way doing things. And this is very entrepreneurial if you're making prototypes and you're testing them before you actually launching them into the marketplace. So this is innovation in one slide, basically. Every company actually has many great ideas. And this is another main problem for companies. The main problem is still how to turn these great ideas into great business. Because we know that many companies, as Patrick explained you, think that innovation and business making starts from great product or service. And this was a case many years. But now we know that actually this road to failure. So even today, 90% of electronic companies, they bring 40,000 electronic gadgets and devices to market every year, 40,000 different gadgets and devices. And actually we know that 90% of these devices do not survive next year. So why is that? Because they focus entirely on product or service development and not so much testing with customers at all, if customers are ready to buy and pay money for it. So new area, new kind of understanding about innovation is what Patrick suggested. Innovation starts not from the manufacturing plant, not from the product or service. Innovation starts from understanding what kind of problem you want to solve. And this problem are, of course, customer problems, not your own problem or your company problem. So innovation starts with defining the problem. And you can have a peek on a customer development on Canvas as well. So the first sort of element is problem, customer problem element. And it's not about really asking customers what do you want, as Patrick explained to you, but it's more like observation to understand what are the problems which are painful enough and to really, which need product or service to take the problem really away, and customers are even ready to pay money for that. So regarding that, companies have to understand that this customer problem definition is most important thing if you want to do innovation in a successful way, or if you just want to grow in a more successful phase. So problem understanding is a key here. So, and this comes to the notion that in your company, Patrick called it a thought land. So basically it means there are no facts in your company, so you have to really go out your office, meet customers. Patrick suggested drink 150 cup of coffee. In Turkey, probably it's 150 cup of tea. And this is really to get this testing and prototype going and not just building business top of some opinions. So these companies which have been recently growing very quickly, very big, these companies exactly started from observation of problem definition and problem customers facing. And this is a different why maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago, for these big famous companies like HP and Google, Twitter, even for Google, it took more than 10 years actually to become a company, 1 billion valuation. But nowadays we know some companies like WhatsApp or Snapchat, it just took 1 year to become a $1 billion company. Just 1 year, 12 months. So what is a kind of reason here? The reason is these companies exactly discovered this specific fit Patrick was explaining to you. They discovered what is a problem and what is a solution which is fitting together in the best way. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to also discover problem, customer, and solution fit as a next exercise here. And this is an element you will find on the canvas. It's a very first layer called customer development. And as a next session, we want to really solve this customer development exercise for your particular business. Before that, please, I will give you some example. I'm explaining element by element how to think about these elements. So number one is in customer development, already repeated many times, a customer problem. You can see it like a first element on the canvas. So how to understand which customer problem is good to make really business on top of that. So good customer problem is the problem which many people actually have the problems. And it's serious enough and it's worth solving. So this is, you have to keep in mind. And these keywords also are written on the canvas as well. So regarding customer problem definition, you have to understand that the good problem is which comes up as many times as possible. Google has a very simple test in Office they're using for any new product they launch. They call it the toothbrush test. So what it means, if your product idea, your service idea is needed at least twice per day, this is actually quite good problem to build business on top of that, because people need it twice a day. What happens if you find a problem? If you discover a problem, actually people need it maybe only once during Christmas. What happens to your business? Yeah, it probably dies because you cannot send invoice out so often, and so it's very, very difficult to actually collect money. So think about this toothbrush test. So if you discover a problem which comes up for a customer twice a day, this is probably a really good problem. And I give you one example. Your company you probably know well, Dyson company. So they actually made very disciplined process to discover and turn the problem into new product. So they realized that it's really very painful and problematic and big hassle for many households to deal with these dust bags. So you buy normal vacuum cleaner and immediately, maybe already next month, you have a problem. You don't have a dust bags. You first have to understand what is a dust bag, exactly fitting into your machine, and then you have to understand where can you buy it. A lot of hassle. So Dyson took this problem, it's quite strong pain, and actually designed very specific vacuum cleaner. You don't need anymore these dust bags. So this was solving the problem by observing users and designing a new product or service where the problem is taken away. So this is like a metaphoric example how Dyson was solving, just finding one particular problem and came up a much better product on top of that. So the next element on the customer development is customer. Because if you understand very exactly who is a customer, this is the only way to go more deeper regarding this problem definition. And also it helps you to develop even better solution in terms of products and service. And we give you very simple, like a system or tool, how to understand how should I describe customer. First of all, you can just, Patrick suggested, make a picture of the customer. If you see your customers here, just make a picture of your customer. Or you can draw your customer. And it's very rich. It gives you a lot of information about your customer. Obviously about demographics and behaviors and needs. If you add all this data, you will get more information what problems they would need and how to really even offer better solution. If you remember, Patrick told you a Tesla case where they recorded all pains and problems, behaviors as well, and converted into a very nice car. So most companies, these companies are not here in this room, but most companies see customer too broadly, too widely. But we know that especially small and medium-sized companies looking for a specific niche which is still small for big companies to serve, but enough for smaller companies to make business around it. So you have to be very precise what is exactly customer, and you have to be very focused to make really meaningful business around it. So customer kind of description and discovery is a second step. And the final one now is definitely understand what is a solution in terms of product and service you want to offer, which corresponds to the problem and customer segment. And we have like a four key questions which help you to understand which is a good solution. So basically, obviously, solution has to be unique. If solution, product or service is not unique, most probably it's very difficult to make money out of it. So you're confronting competition immediately. So uniqueness, remember this very simple and funny picture is most important. And it's very funny, we meet hundreds and hundreds of companies every year. Sometimes they don't even open Google and make a Google search. They don't bother to really look for kind of alternative or already existing products because they believe that this is already so unique. And this is what Patrick says, blah, 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 blah. You have to test the uniqueness right away Otherwise, you are doing the job which is not going to pay money for you at all. So the second kind of check question is it easy to protect your solution? Many companies come to the market, do not protect the product or solution, and next year there are 10 similar copycats in the market. So you have to think about it right away. Can I use patents? Can I use trademarks? Can I make some agreements with company who having access to market, or I have some specific data? How can I really protect my solution from the day one? And this is just example from one country you probably know very well. So this is a famous digital application, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, you know, we are using here in Europe. But immediately these business models appeared in China. There was 10 copycats basically next year offering same services, just in one country. For example, in Facebook in China, it's called Renren, and YouTube is called Youku. So immediately copycats start to work if they see your business is really booming and or you're buying expensive cars, so it means your business model is worth to really copy. So think about immediately how to protect your business from the day one. Next one is always very important as well. So when you start your new product or service, you have to test it feature by feature and really bring it to the market. So don't build a very rich product from the day one. Why is that? Because you don't know if customers are actually ready to pay for that. So I give you, again, very simple picture around. Many companies go bust. They fail in innovation because they want to build immediately super complex product without knowing that actually customers like to buy. So they are like this, they have a great product vision. We develop this product which doing these things and even these things, but this is not needed. If you want to avoid this blah, blah, blah stuff, you make one feature, we call it minimum viable product, most important functionality for the customer. Test it with the customer. If customers really like it, pay money for it, and you have more resources, then you develop additional feature. You put some colors or some extra coverage on top of your product or service. So always start with minimum viable product and move more complex product portfolio later on. And in Google Venture, in IT world, they have developed like a concept called sprints. So basically it means if you do innovations, don't take marathons. Don't run marathons because most of you don't have resources. Take like 100-meter sprints. It means that if 100 meter is basically done, you already have a product which you can really sell to customer and understand if customer is ready to pay money for it. So this is all about sprints in more general. So start with really easy and one very focused product solution system. And finally, we are looking for problem-solution fit between definitely customer problem and solution. So if there is a fit, then you also can leave our conference in the middle of the day and go to really start working with a business tonight. But usually to find the fit, it takes at least 10 different iterations or 110 cup of coffee, as Patrick suggested. So you go through this customer development iterations many times to really discover the fit. So this is the first exercise. This is in front of you. And the exercise is maybe even more simple to understand if I give you one example on one company. It's a very simple company. It's not a nuclear power plant or rocket science or anything like that. It's a company producing electrical fences. So it's a company coming from New Zealand, Gallagher. So they started originally to build this kind of electrical fences for farmers who had to keep their animals in a specific territory. So this was in the 60s, and this was a big thing because they came out with a product which gave shocks not to human persons, but actually only for animals. So it was a big product and could fit in terms of product solution. But later on, they started to continue, and they realized why not to also sell the same product to different segments and solve different problems. So they discovered actually that same problem is in wildlife, so you want to maybe some beaks to keep away from your potato fields and then many other fields. So they discovered a new kind of customer segment who were growing different vegetables, crops, etc. But be very careful, the solution remained same, but problem was different, and also customer segment was different, and they were growing super fast because of that, because they didn't have to put money in product development. They just changed problem and customer itself. But then they realized, can we even use the same product to really solve some other problems, again, in some extra customer segment? And they discovered why not to even go to Africa. And they found out there are national parks and forest parks. They also need this kind of electric fences to keep these African elephants in specific territory. And again, they discovered completely new problem kind of solution fit. And once again, they didn't invest at all on the product existing. But finally, they discovered something completely new. They were lucky because there was an intruder. Some bad person wanted to go to Buckingham Palace and see Queen. And actually, he managed to go inside Buckingham Palace during the night and managed to see half-naked Queen, 80 years old. But okay, this was this person's wish. But this was a big scandal, and Buckingham Palace started to look, can we have this kind of electrical fences in order to keep really bad people away from palaces during midnights. And they actually came up completely new, like a customer segment and problem solution, which more, not anymore about animals, but actually really fencing more human beings. And they a little bit changed the solution as well, but still the growth was super fast. So what is the takeaway here is, if you do this customer development iteration, it is enough for a company to grow without doing major innovation initiatives in your company. And this is what we really recommend for you to do in your company. And this is all about what Patrick told you regarding testing and discovering new problems and putting new solutions on top of that. So in order to do our exercise very quickly, we do it, focus on first on customer problem, and then we go further on customer persona and solution. We have our mentors here. We have SAP client executives who help you. So they jump into your table and help you make it as quickly as possible. And also European Innovation Academy experts, they also here who help you. So, and if you still need help, just raise your hand and we will find you and help you to learn from the exercise. And if you already have a good business idea, company in your team, just try to immediately focus on this company, because otherwise it takes too much time to come up with some artificial idea. So, are you ready? Are you ready to do it before we get lunch? Yes? Yes, or you are afraid of turbulence? As there will be a lot of turbulence, no problem with that. Let's start right now. So take the customer problem and try to describe what could be the customer problem. We could build a great solution business top of it.